The office buzzes with the usual energy, the hum of conversation, and the click of keyboards filling the air. The protagonist sits at their desk, the epitome of focus and confidence. They've worked here for years, carving out a comfortable place. In the company, their desk is tidy, their work always on track. The team is close, knit, each person moving seamlessly through the day, contributing to the harmonious rhythm of the office. The protagonist takes a sip of coffee, scanning through emails, their mind entirely absorbed in the tasks at hand. Everything feels right. Life feels secure. They know their role, and they know the company. There's an unspoken trust between them and their boss, built on years of hard work, mutual respect, and shared goals. They've earned their place in this company, and for the first time in a long time. I can't imagine anything ever disturbing that peace. But something is. Shifting beneath the surface, there's an undercurrent of change in the office, barely noticeable at first. Whispers float through the halls. Brief conversations cut short when they enter a room. The protagonist brushes it off, thinking it's just office gossip. However, the news grows clearer. Her arrival is imminent. The boss's daughter, who has always been a distant figure, is stepping into her father's shoes. The company, their world, is about to be run by someone new. The protagonist feels a slight pang in their chest, a sense of unease that they can't shake. The thought of a new leader doesn't sit well, but they quickly push it aside, reminding themselves that nothing could change the foundation they've worked so hard to build. Still, a nagging feeling lingers in the back of their mind. Life was good, secure, but that calm was about to be shattered in ways they hadn't expected. The first day she walks into the office is subtle, almost unnoticed at first. The protagonist sits at their desk, deep in thought, when the buzz of the office fades just a little. A shadow falls across the doorframe, and they glance up. There she is, the boss's daughter, dressed sharply, poised, and walking with the quiet confidence of someone who knows they're meant to lead. Her presence commands attention, but not in the way the protagonist had expected. She doesn't make a grand entrance, but her mere presence changes the air in the room. At conversations, drop eyes turn toward her. It's a shift that's felt more than seen, and it sends a ripple through the office, subtle but undeniable. The protagonist's heart skips a beat as they watch her. This is the moment they'd known was coming, yet it feels so different now, that it's real. The boss, the man they've worked beside for years, is stepping down. His daughter is taking over the reins of the business they've both invested so much of themselves into. The shift in the atmosphere is immediate. The office, once a place where everyone knew their role, now feels uncertain. There's a quiet tension that wasn't there before, a lingering question of what the future will hold. It's clear that things will be different, but how different? The protagonist can't quite place it, but something doesn't sit right. The subtlety of the change only deepens their unease. The team continues working, but the air has thickened with the unknown. She hasn't said much yet, but every move she makes, every glance in their direction feels heavy with expectation. The protagonist wonders what this new leadership will mean for them, for the team, for everything they've worked so hard to build. For the first time in years, there's a crack in the foundation they thought was unshakable. They feel a creeping sense of uncertainty, feeling that this new beginning might not be the fresh start everyone hopes for, but the beginning of something entirely different, something unsettling. It starts with the smallest of changes, things that at first seem insignificant, but soon reveal themselves to be the beginning of something much bigger. The protagonist watches as the boss's daughter steps into her role, making decisions with a confidence that's almost jarring. There's no room for hesitation or discussion. She moves quickly, rearranging priorities and pushing her own agenda without asking for feedback or understanding the deeper workings of the company. Every decision feels like it's being made on the fly, with little regard for the history or the expertise of the team. At first, the protagonist tries to brush it off. She's new. She'll figure it out, they think. But the changes keep coming. The daughter insists on overseeing every little detail, hovering over tasks that were once handled autonomously. Emails that used to be simple updates are now met with Her demand for reports, forcing everyone to adjust their workflow to fit her vision. The micromanagement is subtle at first, small requests here and there, but it starts to feel more invasive as the days go on. Decisions that were once made collaboratively now come from the top down, without input from those who have spent years building the company from the ground up. The office culture, once vibrant and cooperative, begins to shift. People are no longer as open with each other. The natural flow of conversation has been replaced by whispers behind closed doors. Everyone is on edge, unsure of how to approach their work or how to navigate the new dynamics. The protagonists can feel it in their bones. Tension in the air, the growing frustration among the team members, morale is dipping. The atmosphere that once felt like home now feels foreign and uncomfortable. What troubles the protagonist most is the daughter's apparent lack of understanding of the company's core values, the very principles that have kept the business thriving all these years. She seems more focused on short-term gains than long-term stability, making decisions that, to the protagonist, feel disconnected from the company's original vision. It's not just about the changes. It's about how the changes are being made. They can't help but feel that the daughter, despite her confidence, is missing something crucial. Does she even understand the heart of this company? The question lingers, and with it, a growing sense of suspicion. The protagonist doesn't yet have the answers, but they know one thing for sure. Something is wrong, and it's only a matter of time before it all unravels. The office feels unusually tense today. The soft murmur of conversation that, normally, fills the air has been replaced by an uncomfortable silence, as if everyone is holding their breath. The protagonist notices the shift right away. Their colleagues, once engaged in casual chatter, now speak in hushed tones, exchanging wary glances. The atmosphere has thickened with something heavy, something unspoken. It's the kind of quiet that precedes a storm. Then, the call comes. The protagonist's phone buzzes, a single message lighting up the screen. "Can you come to my office?" It's brief, to the point, and carries a weight that sends a cold shiver down the protagonist's spine. Their stomach tightens, but they push the unease aside. It's probably nothing, they tell themselves, though the nagging doubt grows louder. With every step toward the daughter's office, as they enter, the door clicks shut behind them with a soft finality. The office is cool and pristine, almost sterile in its perfection. The daughter sits behind her desk, her posture as rigid as her expression. She looks up as they enter, offering a tight smile that doesn't quite reach her eyes. There's no warmth, no familiarity in her gaze, just a businesslike coldness that makes the air between them feel miles apart. The words come swiftly, almost too swiftly, as though she's been rehearsing them in her mind. "I'm sorry, but we're going in a new direction," she says, her voice steady, but devoid of any empathy. "Unfortunately, that means we'll no longer be needing your services." The words hit the protagonist like a punch to the gut. Fired, the shock is immediate. They stare at her, trying to process what just happened. Did I hear that right? They want to ask, but the words won't come. Instead, they sit there, frozen in disbelief, struggling to understand the suddenness of it all. This wasn't a conversation. It wasn't a discussion or a moment of mutual understanding. It was a decision swift and impersonal. The protagonist had spent years building this company alongside the boss, dedicating themselves to its success. Now, in the blink of an eye, everything they had worked for has been ripped away. The shock is overwhelming, and for a moment, the world around them goes silent. Their thoughts race. How could this happen so quickly? What did I miss? They feel blindsided, betrayed by the person they once hoped would understand what they had built. The daughter offers a few empty words about new directions and changing needs, but they don't make sense. They feel hollow, like excuses for a decision that was made without any real understanding of the people behind the business. The protagonist wants to fight, to ask why, but the finality in her voice leaves no room for discussion. They're left, standing there, stunned, as she moves on to the next task, like nothing has changed. But for the protagonist, everything has. The protagonist stands in the empty office, the weight of the firing still sinking in. Their mind races, trying to piece together what just happened. How could she do this? The question echoes, but in the silence, it feels pointless. The reality of the situation is undeniable. They've been fired, and it's final. But amidst the swirling confusion, something begins to click inside them. There's a small spark of something more, something buried beneath the layers of shock and betrayal. They close their eyes for a moment, and the memories start flooding back, key moments in their career, moments that only they truly understand. They remember the time they saved the company from a major financial setback, a problem no one else knew how to solve. The late nights spent crafting strategies that turned the company's fortunes around, the quiet conversations with longtime clients who trusted them and only them to handle their most important accounts. The protagonist had been there, through thick and thin, building relationships that no one else could touch. In the midst of it all, they remembered the conversations with the boss, their mentor, their confidant, who had trusted them with the most sensitive information, things the rest of the company had no idea about. There were deals in the works, insider knowledge, relationships that had taken years to build and solidify. Only the protagonist knew the depths of those connections, and no one else could replicate the history they had with those clients or the strategic knowledge they held. The daughter might have inherited the business, but she doesn't know this. She doesn't know the subtle ways the protagonist had kept the company afloat in its hardest moments. She doesn't know the people they've worked with, the intricate details of every project and client that the company's future depends on. That knowledge, the hidden, invaluable knowledge, was what made them irreplaceable. It's the one thing she doesn't have, and in that moment, the protagonist realizes something. This firing, though painful, doesn't mark the end. It's just the beginning of a new chapter. I may have been cast aside, but I haven't lost everything. They think to themselves. I know things she doesn't. I have the connections, the expertise. There's hope now, a glimmer that had been buried under the weight of betrayal. The protagonist knows they can turn this around, that they can find a way back, not by force, but by leveraging the very knowledge and relationships. The boss's daughter doesn't even realize she's been left without. The realization brings clarity. The protagonist's heart steadies. No, this isn't over yet. This is only the beginning of their comeback. The protagonist sits in the quiet of their personal space, the room dimly lit by the soft glow of a desk lamp. The familiar comfort of their home, once a place of refuge, now feels like the setting for a quiet storm brewing inside them. Their mind is a whirlwind of thoughts, the sting of the firing still fresh, but now overshadowed by a sharp sense of purpose. The betrayal is still there, but it no longer holds power over them. The protagonist's eyes are fixed on their computer screen, a new determination in their gaze. This isn't the end. It's a beginning. With steady hands, they pull up their notes, client contacts, and old project files. They begin to sift through the information they've accumulated over the years, insider knowledge, strategies, potential gaps in the company's operations that only they understand. They glance at the screen, thinking about the relationships they've built and how crucial they are to the business's success. This is my leverage, they think, a new fire igniting within them. They remember the hours spent negotiating with clients, the trust they earned, the deals they sealed that had kept the company afloat. The protagonist pulls up a list of contacts, clients, business partners, and key figures who have relied on them for years. Their mind runs through each name, considering the best approach to reignite those relationships, to show these people that the company may have changed leadership, but its core value hasn't. The boss's daughter might have a new direction, but the protagonist has the understanding of the company that she doesn't have. They know what's at stake, and they know exactly how to use their expertise to turn the tides. Asterisk, they begin drafting a plan. The outline of a strategy that starts with rebuilding their personal reputation. It won't be easy. There will be resistance, no doubt, but they have the insider knowledge, the expertise, and the relationships to make it work. The protagonist jots down ideas for a presentation, possible pitches, and the next steps. They know they have to be methodical and strategic, leveraging everything they've learned over the years to position themselves as an indispensable asset, one that can't be replaced by a new leader who doesn't understand the depth of the ASE. Companies' foundations, with each new idea that comes to them, their resolve grows stronger. They've been knocked down, but they won't stay there. This plan, this strategy, is their ticket back into the company. It's not about revenge. It's about reclaiming what's rightfully theirs. The protagonist stands up, pacing back and forth, the plan beginning to take shape in their mind. The path ahead won't be easy, but they're ready to fight for what they've earned. This is the moment they've been waiting for. They've lost the battle, but they will win the war. The protagonist stands before a sleek conference room table, the weight of the moment sinking in. The polished surface reflects their face, but it's different now. There's no trace of the uncertainty that once clouded their expression. They've come a long way since that fateful day, the day they were dismissed so abruptly, left questioning everything. Today, however, the room is filled with a palpable sense of power, and it's theirs. They've made calls, arranged meetings, and put together a proposal so compelling that even the most skeptical board members couldn't deny the value they bring. The air is thick with expectation as the protagonist lays out their plan, speaking with the calm authority of someone who knows exactly what they're talking about. Every word is precise, every argument backed by years of experience. Ava crafted their return with the precision of someone who's been underestimated but never forgotten. As they speak, they watch the board members' reactions shift, nodding, leaning in, their skepticism beginning to melt away. Asterisk, the boss's daughter, sits at the head of the table, her face tense but still composed. The protagonist can feel her eyes on them, measuring, assessing. She's listening now, not just because she has to, but because she can no longer ignore the undeniable truth. They are the missing piece. The company has faltered without the insight they bring, and the cracks in the foundation she's been trying to build are starting to show. She's beginning to realize that her plans, while ambitious, lack the depth and understanding that only the protagonist can provide. The protagonist's confidence only grows as the meeting progresses. They leverage everything they've learned, years of experience, relationships built on trust, and an unmatched understanding of the company's core. With every point they make, they prove just how invaluable they are. The room shifts in their favor, and the once uncertain environment now buzzes with the possibility of their return. The protagonist's knowledge isn't just a necessity, it's essential. When the meeting concludes, the air feels different. The protagonist doesn't just leave with the approval they sought. They leave with a renewed sense of power. The tables have turned. The daughter, once the person in control, now finds herself in a position of needing them, realizing that without the protagonist's expertise and insight, her vision for the company could very well fall apart. Walking out of the meeting room, the protagonist feels a surge of empowerment. They've taken back what was once theirs, not through anger, but through skill, strategy, and a deep understanding of what the company truly needs. The fight isn't over, but this victory is sweet, and it marks the beginning of their reclaiming their rightful place in the business they helped build. The office is quiet. There's an undeniable tension in the air as the protagonist steps into the meeting room. The boss's daughter sits at the far end of the table, papers neatly arranged in front of her, a cold professionalism in her demeanor. She's always been confident, perhaps too confident, but today the air feels different. The protagonist can sense a shift in the power dynamic, subtle yet profound. It's clear now. This isn't just another meeting. This is the moment where everything changes. The protagonist takes a seat across from her, the table between them now symbolizing more than just distance. It's a reflection of everything that has transpired. The betrayal, the firing, the struggle to regain control, and now the showdown. The tension is thick enough to cut with a knife. The daughter doesn't look at the protagonist the same way she did before, when she had all the power. Now, her gaze flickers with uncertainty, and for the first time, she seems unsure of herself. The protagonist knows this is their moment. The calm, controlled voice that once would have been taken for granted now holds the weight of experience and unshakable confidence. I know you've had your vision for this company. The The protagonist begins, their words deliberate and sharp. But what you've overlooked is that the heart of this business is built on more than just ideas and ambition. It's built on trust, on relationships, on the very knowledge that you seem to have ignored. The daughter's jaw tightens, but she doesn't interrupt. The protagonist presses on, their voice steady, though the words are filled with quiet power. You've been so focused on your new direction that you've missed the one thing that made this company work for. All these years, experience, the knowledge of what works and what doesn't. The connections I've built, the deals I've secured, the trust that's been earned over time. I'm not just an asset. I'm the backbone of this business. The daughter shifts uncomfortably, her grip tightening around the papers in front of her. The realization is slowly dawning on her what she thought she could easily replace with her ambition. She can't. She didn't understand the company's core like the protagonist did. She underestimated the value of what they brought to the table, and now it's too late to undo the damage. The protagonist stands, their presence filling the room, taking control of the space they had once lost. They don't raise their voice, but there's power in their calm, unwavering certainty. I've worked for years to build what you think you can easily replace. But you didn't have the experience, and you didn't understand the full picture. I'm not here for revenging, here to reclaim what's rightfully mine. As the final words hang in the air, the boss's daughter remains silent. Her earlier confidence has waned, replaced by a realization that this battle isn't about leadership styles or new directions. It's about the irreplaceable value of experience, it's trust, and the deep knowledge of a business that she simply doesn't possess. The shift is complete. The protagonist, once pushed aside, now stands in control. The power dynamic has turned, and with it, the future of the company is back in their hands. The protagonist stands at the window of their office, looking out at the city below. The sunlight is fading, casting a soft golden hue across the landscape. There's a quiet peace in this moment, but it's not the same peace they once had. This one is hard-earned, born from the struggle, the fight to reclaim what was taken from them. Their reflection in the glass is strong, confident, and unbroken. Stark contrast to the uncertainty that once clouded their thoughts. They've come full circle, and though the journey was fraught with betrayal and pain, they've emerged on the other side more powerful than ever before as they take in the view. Their mind drifts back to the moment they were fired, the shock, the confusion, the overwhelming feeling of betrayal. It had been a blow unlike any other, one that threatened to break them. But as the memories flood back, they realize something important. That moment, as painful as it was, didn't define them. It didn't shatter their resolve. Instead, it ignited a fire within them, one that had been dormant but was now burning. Brightly, pushing them forward, the protagonist takes a deep breath, her chest filling with a sense of satisfaction that has little to do with the power they've reclaimed or the position they now hold. It's about something deeper, the understanding that they faced the worst and survived. They've proven to themselves and to everyone who doubted them that they are not defined by others' perceptions or by the actions of those who try to tear them down. They've built their own path, brick by brick, using their knowledge, experience, and the relationships they've nurtured over the years. Betrayal stung. They think to themselves, but it made me stronger. It pushed me to prove what I was truly capable of. The protagonist knows they've grown through the struggle, learned more about themselves than they could have imagined, and emerged from it with an even greater sense of purpose. They have their place in this company, not because of a title or a position, but because they earned it through years of dedication and unwavering belief in their worth. As the sun sinks lower in the sky, casting a final peaceful glow over the office, the protagonist turns away from the window. They walk toward the door, feeling the weight of the past lift off their shoulders. The future, once uncertain and clouded by doubt, now feels full of possibilities. The journey wasn't easy, but it's brought them exactly where they need to be. And with that, the protagonist steps into the future, empowered, resolute, and ready for whatever comes next.